What is up, guys? In today's video, I'm going to be going over several underrated loot spots that you might want to take advantage of in Fortnite's Star Wars Galactic Battle season. As always, if you guys do find this video to be helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and comment down below which of these spots you're going to be landing at. So, as always, with lesser, known spots or more smaller loot locations in Fortnite, you're often not going to be getting as much loot, but like the trade-off for this is that you should get a safer start to the match and potentially decent timing to like third party and clean up a more contested area. But you should 100% not have the mindset that you're just going to loot one of these spots and then be set for the game. You're likely going to need to have some sort of idea for what you're going to be doing after looting this initial spot. I make a video like this for every season, and I always get comments on like, oh, I landed here and didn't get much loot and then couldn't play. And it's like, this is not the entirety of the loot you're getting for the game. This is just hopefully giving you an easier start and letting you kind of bypass what is one of the more kind of random parts of the game in early game. With this season not needing ammo, since all of the weapons are blasters, you don't need to be concerned about ammo, and that can actually make a lot of these spots more viable this season than they maybe would be in other seasons, because ammo can often be a concern about like landing at some of these smaller spots. But also on the flip side, shockwaves are much more of a struggle to get this season compared to last season, and you'll likely need to end up opening several chests to like come away with mobility. So landing at a spot with a lot of chests is definitely beneficial this season. Fortunately, they did add several, stormtrooper outposts on the road around the map, which each have a few chests and slurp barrels. And I think every one of these spots pretty much has like a nearby, stormtrooper outpost that you can take advantage of to get more loot. I'm going to start with what I think is the best spot on this list, and that is going to be the training area on the north edge of the map outside Magic Mosses. This has 16 potential chests and a slurp truck and a launch pad. I actually made a video about this towards the end of last season because it was a good spot to land in third-party Fletcher Kane. Now there's typically going to be less people landing at this area, so you should have an even easier time starting the game, getting a lot of loot in a very condensed area, and getting that slurp truck, which is really nice because at some of these smaller spots, with less loot, you might, come away with less shield. So if you get a slurp truck, that guarantees you don't need to use any of the heals you find and you can just carry them. And that's like a huge buff to these smaller spots. After you rotate this after you finish looting this, you could rotate towards Magic Mosses with the launch pad, or the nearby gas station and jewelry store just down the road have 6 and 5 chests. So that is 11 more chests for you potentially. And there should be a car somewhere in this area for you as well, whether it's at the training area, the jewelry store, or the gas station. You're very likely to get a car over there. So you have, 16 plus 11 chests. That's 27 potential chests for you in this small condensed area, plus a slurp truck, plus a car. And then after that, you have, however you want to play from there is your choice. But I think this training area has been a good landing spot for pretty much all of Chapter 6, and this season is no different. If you want to have an easy start to the match, I would highly recommend landing there. Another area that's been good for all of Chapter 6, which is still going to be solid this season, is going to be the drainage area on the far right side of the map. This has 12 potential chests and a slurp truck there as well, and a launch pad at this for guaranteed movement to rotate out of. And then there also is a stormtrooper outpost on the bridge nearby, which adds 3 more chests and a few slurp barrels. And that 3 chests isn't, game changing, but that's 25% more chests for you compared to what the drainage area itself has. So that is a decent increase just by the stormtrooper area being added. And then this is also very close to one of the potential radio tower spawns. So if you do want to play a bit slower, you could kind of loot the drainage area, loot the bridge, loot the gas station nearby. And then if the radio tower guards haven't spawned yet, they'll probably be close to spawning. So you could probably just hang out there, get forecast, get even more heals from the guards, and then go about your game from there. The main struggle with a lot of these places is going to be mobility, though, and unfortunately, there is no guaranteed way to get shockwaves as of the time I'm recording this. There should be, the fact that the Jedi training, or the Jedi training kind of spawns all over the map can really supplement some of these locations as well, because you should be at least able to get a lightsaber. And with a lot of these spots being less contested, you shouldn't have as many people trying to beat you to it. The neighborhood outside Resistance Base, I think, is also quite good this season. It has 17 potential chest spawns and a slurp truck, so once again, you're going to be able to get that guaranteed shield. This is decently spread out, though. There's a few buildings and the pink flower area. There are launch pads here, which can help you kind of rotate around faster or just leave the area faster. There is a Star Wars outpost on the road just outside this place with 4 more chests and a gas station with 6 potential chests as well. And again, with there being a gas station there, you're pretty likely to have gotten a car from the neighborhood itself or the gas station, so you shouldn't have a problem getting a car out of these areas. And then you could, you know, play the game out how you want to play it from there, or you could quickly loot up a bit here and then try to third party and clean up the resistance base, which replaced Whiffy Wharf. I don't really like dealing with these Star Wars locations too much because a lot of them have the spaceships and players just kind of really playing off the spaceships. But either way, if you want to do that, that's definitely something that can be done. One loot spot that was praised a lot last season that I think got a decent amount worse this season is going to be the turtles on the bottom right side of the map. This was a really good spot last season because I think you had a guaranteed rare chest and a guaranteed elemental chest, but those are no longer the case. The elemental chest no longer spawns here, at least from the games I played. There are 7 potential chests on the turtle and 5 slurp barrels. And then on the island to the right next to the turtles, there's also 7 potential chests and 5 slurp barrels. So there's enough barrels where you shouldn't have to use any of the heals you find. And then you get a few chests. But I feel like this spot takes a bit longer to loot. The loot is more spread out than a lot of the other locations I talked about. And it is a bit less loot. Both the island and the turtle itself do have launch pads that you could maybe take to Outpost Enclave to clean up. The island north of the turtles with a bunch of pink flower, the cherry blossom trees, or the beach west of the turtles. I think if you are playing like duos or trios, maybe spreading out amongst like the turtles and these islands, and then each of you quickly looting your spot and then meeting up could be, you know, a decent like split drop. But overall, I think the turtles are a decent amount worse than they were last season, but they still can be a decent low-key spot. 2 newer locations that were added this season, or that I think got better this season, is one is going to be Eat. This is the downed AT-ATs on the map outside brutal boxcars on top of a mountain. And there's a downed AT-AT and then like a food truck area. There's 5 potential chests in the AT-AT and around the food truck. And then there's 3 chests in the cave that you can open with the AT-AT cannon, along with 3 barrels in there. And then on the mountain amongst the area or around the area, there's 7 more potential chests. So this is a total of 15 potential chests, but it is somewhat decently spread out. If you were playing duos, then you could have like one person land on the top mountain and then one person land on the bottom part, and then you both just kind of split loot. And then there also is a launch pad on this mountain that you could use to maybe go third-party brutal boxcars. If your timing is good, you could maybe get to the train here and capture that to get the mythic AT-AT. Or you could just really go anywhere nearby using this launch pad. Since it is somewhat central to the map, there is several locations that you could get to from here. You could even go to the radio tower spawn I talked about earlier when landing at the drainage area. So this Eat place obviously wasn't here last season because it's kind of based on having downed AT-ATs. But I think this is a somewhat decent low-key spot. But I really think it's a spot that you want to kind of loot up and then either third-party brutal boxcars or try to get the train. If you're not doing either of those things, I think this isn't going to be the greatest spot. And then a location that's been on the map, I believe, for all of Chapter 6 that I think got a decent amount better this season is going to be the crashed plane northwest of Masked Meadows. There's 8 potential chests on the plane itself, and then obviously floor loot as well. All of these locations have floor loot. I just kind of focus on the chest spawns. But there's even more chests if you slide down the hill and a Star Wars outpost with 4 more potential chests and 6 barrels. And the Star Wars outposts, I think, is what really makes this area decent because this down plane has been here for a while, but being able to slide down to that Star Wars outpost and get a blue DC-15 guaranteed, which is a solid weapon, plus more chests, I think is what would make a kind of like a 3 out of 10 spot, maybe like a 5 out of 10. But there's also another Star Wars outpost just up the street with a few more chests and barrels. And oftentimes the train will be coming through here by the time I've already finished looting this. And I was able to eliminate the person on the train who got the mythic AT-AT and basically get it for free. So while this crashed plane, I don't think is the greatest location. I think it's incredibly underrated compared to how it was last season because of the addition of these Star Wars outposts for extra loot and extra chests. But that is going to be it for this video. As always, if you guys did find this to be helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you like to see more, comment down below if you're going to be landing at any of these locations, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.